Hi, folks. Welcome to Walking on the Weene Side, the spoken word portion of It Matters Radio. Today, I have a great pleasure for you because I'm doing, I guess I could call it my annual baseball show. Last year, if you recall, we discussed a great biography of one of my childhood heroes, Ted Williams, whom I got to see play in Fenway growing up. And that was pretty exciting for me. Well, I have another hero on today. Although I didn't know her before, I have read the memoir that she wrote called Making My Pitch, A Woman's Baseball Odyssey. And her name is Ila Borders, who is the first woman to actually, on a sustained basis, play professional baseball in the United States. And also with us is Jean Hastings Idell. Jean was very helpful in writing Ila's story, and just delighted to have both of you here with me today.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you.
Okay, now I got to tell you, first right off, one of the things that fascinated me, because I grew up as a kid playing ball, and I had a baseball cap. And at a certain point in time, they started making baseball caps with these little things you could fasten and unfasten so you could adjust the size. And so I was fascinated by this little tidbit because as a woman playing baseball, at a certain point, there was an issue about hats, wasn't there?
Well, I guess you could take it if you have long hair or if you have short hair. And I've had both. So as you can see right now, yes, it's helped me out. And then when we don't have it, we just make a little cut in there to get the hair out.
Yeah, but in the pros, they don't use those straps, do they?
Nope, and I've gone with that. I don't try to change the game or anything like that. I never had the kind where you can, take them apart and put them back.
So you cut a hole for your yeah. I thought that fascinated me. For some reason, it just seems such a personal item.
It's not an issue at all.
Yeah. Well, you see, the thing that struck me was that it was so personal. And it's the personal that I really like a lot in this book.
Thank you. Yeah, it was definitely a 50-50 collaboration. I was putting everything out there, but Jean was the one that helped put everything together. So it wouldn't have happened unless we were both working with each other. So I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah. Well, I know as I read the story, there were a lot of people along the way who helped you. But then baseball is kind of an interesting sport in that it is both individual achievement and teamwork.
Mm-hmm.
And you had some coaches who really helped you along the way, particularly, I guess, because you're a girl. And girls aren't supposed to play baseball.
I think I got mostly the help because they saw that I was out there and I really loved the game and I wanted to play the game, and there was no other agenda except for doing the best that I possibly could and help my team win. And I think when they saw that was my agenda and not something else, then they went to bat for me.
Yeah. Now, one of the things that struck me about it was that you didn't play some easy position.
Oh, I don't think any of them are easy.
Okay. Well, the level I played at, I used to play in right field and pick daisies, but yeah, I guess on the pros it's not easy. But now you pitched.
Yes, sir. Yes.
And you were a good pitcher. Obviously, you made it into the professional ball. You were a very good pitcher.
Yeah, I felt confident. If you weren't a good pitcher, they're not going to have you go play college and then go play professional baseball. But it took a lot of hard work and it took people, helping me out, and it took a lot of perseverance.
Mm-hmm. Now you did not have a stage mother. You had a mound father. Your dad pushed you a
Oh,
lot.
I didn't hear that last one for sure. I didn't
I
hear.
I
I'm
said you didn't have what we call a stage mother. You had what we might call a mound father. Your father was the
Oh,
one pushing you.
gosh. No, I guess it's about my father and my mother
No, your
would be.
father he pushed you to play ball. He was the supporting parent for playing ball.
Um, he he didn't push me. He it was always on what I wanted to do, but he said, if you want to do this, this is what's going to happen, and he prepared me. And I'm very grateful for that because he prepared me at a very young age so that when I was 19, 20, or 21 and I was going through those really, really tough times,
Mm-hmm.
he told me what was coming and really tried to help prepare me. He didn't push me. He only pushed me when I asked for it. And then my mom, she was the supporter. She was the loving parent. She wasn't really a disciplinary person.
Uh-huh. Yeah, your dad, I gather, he had issues with the bottle and with the marriage and things like that. Your father was not always happy in the family.
No, and I tried to think of, he was 21 years old. My mom was 18. I, can't imagine being 20 years old and having a child and playing ball and then having to grow up really quick.
Mm-hmm.
So looking back upon it, I think that would be tough for anybody. I'm not making excuses. There are some things that he has done that was really difficult, but I try to take it as, it really helped prepare me for life and take the good out of that situation and move on and try to apply everything that I learned from growing up and how he did certain things and to do them or not do them.
Uh-huh. And, one of the things that you relied on a lot, and I think this is a very important part of making my pitch, is that you relied a lot on your faith.
Yes. And you talk about a double whammy there with, being a female in baseball. So you have that tough thing. And then also being a Christian but gay, that's another thing. You go with your gay friends and they can't understand how you're a Christian and they give you a little bit of grief for that. And then you go with your Christian friends and then they're giving you troubles for being gay. So it was a very tough situation to deal with.
Mm-hmm. I would think so. Now, the book talks a lot about your pitching, takes us through many innings of games, but what it doesn't talk much about is your batting. So I wanted to ask you, how were you at the plate?
I was good. I can't really tell you the exact batting average. I hit in Little League. I hit in junior high. I hit in high school. When I was going to college, I planned on hitting and playing first base. I was going there to do that. But I throw left-handed and I bat right-handed, so my arm and my body's kind of exposed. And we are able to play a lot of the junior colleges before we get to our actual season. And so I got up to the plate about 11 times, and I got hit 11 times. And my coach and I just decided that it was best to get a DH and have a designated hitter than just going up to the plate every time and getting hit.
Mm-hmm. And when you played professionally, you used a
DH?
DH?
H's, yeah, the pitchers is more like an American League.
American League stuff.
No. It's kind of hard when you go from, I played all the way up into my first year of college, and then I didn't hit for 4 years in college to then try to go against professional hitting. So that's how it worked. They're more of American League.
How come you were hit 11, got up to bat 11 times and were hit 11 times? What was going on there?
Well, I think they didn't like me getting up there. This was during a time where we're in different times right now. You know, there are more women playing baseball. You have the series like Pitch that was out for a year. There are more opportunities for women playing baseball that are coming our way. Still, it's going to be extremely tough, but at that time, that was kind of like their way of saying, watch out, or, this is stuff you're going to have to endure. And I just saw it as that's kind of something I have to go through and get through it.
Yeah, I could see 1 or 2 haze you, but when you get talking 11, that sounds to me like a pretty much a concerted effort to drive you out of the game. And your ability to take that impresses me.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, you could take it as I didn't go on and hit, but I wanted to pitch, and to go and take a baseball in the back, you'll be fine, but then after an inning or two, it will tighten up, and then you try to throw the ball, and
it hurts.
It doesn't feel too good.
Yeah. Okay. Now, we're going to take a quick break, and folks, and then we'll be back.
Welcome to It Matters Radio, where hosts Monica Brinkman and Carrie Hall bring you the very best of music from artists throughout the entire world. Be sure and catch their special musical guest interview every Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 4 p.m. Pacific Time. On most Tuesdays, you can take a walk on the Weene side, where host Kenneth Weene discusses current, meaningful, and even fun topics and issues with his very special guests. If you wish the best of music, entertainment, and conversation, join Monica, Carrie, and Ken, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 4 p.m. Pacific Time, live stream at Vaughn Live TV, It Matters Radio. And check them out on It Matters Radio on Facebook and YouTube. Why? Because you matter.
Here we go. Okay. Welcome back to Walking on the Weene Side. And as you folks know, we're talking baseball today. And you mentioned a television show that was on like a season or so ago, Pitch. And it's about a woman pitcher and baseball player. And I wondered if they had consulted with you in making that television show.
They did not. I did not hear from them with that, no.
How strange is that? Was your book out when they made? Was your book preceded? Probably not. So
no.
They might have made a better. They might have made a better show had they had you as a consultant. What do you think?
I don't know who they had as their consultant, and I'm not from Hollywood, so I couldn't really comment on that. But it would be nice to be able to maybe shed some light or some experiences on what I went through, and then tell them kind of that, and they can go from there. But like we were just talking, I guess my book came out later than the series.
Mm-hmm. So now, Jean, how did you happen to get involved in this?
Good question, Ken. I was already doing baseball research into the women's side of the game. I had a book that came out in 2005, actually. But when Ila was pitching in college, I was still working on that book. And I read in the local paper that she was pitching over at Southern California College. So I thought, well, this beats sitting at a messy desk. I'll go over and watch her pitch. And it was a terrific game. The stands were jammed. The media was all over the story. She was in the zone that day. She pitched a complete game, 12-1. And after we all congregated behind second base to interview her, and I remember thinking, I'd like to follow this story for as long as it goes. This is an interesting story. I could see her dedication even then and think, she wants to go as far as her talent will take her. So let's see how that plays out.
Now, before we go on, Okay, well, the book we're talking about today is called Making My Pitch, and it's Ila Borders' story. But you said you wrote another book that has been published about women in baseball. Why don't we get the name of that in there too? Because
thank you. It came out in '05, and it was called Breaking into Baseball, Women in the National Pastime. And I just tried to recapture the whole history of women who love this game, but were really historically and traditionally denied a place in the game. Even in the 1800s as fans, they weren't.
Oh, yeah. I assume you've read it.
There's so much information in there. I'm still going through everything. You know, I've learned to be accurate is very important. And there's some people that went before me that need to be known too. And then from here on, so learning a lot as I go.
Yeah, I saw that you gave credit to some of those women in the book. That you didn't. One of the things that impressed me was you could have kind of tried to say, "Well, I'm the only one," but you don't. You're a real team player.
Four, and there were three women who played in the Negro Leagues in the early '50s, and competed for more than just a game or two. They played season after season.
Right.
So I interviewed two of them out of the three. The third one passed away before I could find her, but they were a heck of a good story.
I bet. Now, while we're talking about that, you know, the Negro League, you also played in a different kind of racial environment. You went over to Japan a few times.
Yes. Gosh, I've been to Puerto Rico, Canada, Japan. Japan had a huge following. They came out when I was playing collegiately, and they were covering it almost the way that California and the United States were covering me. And I would go over there, not every year, but I would try to go over there with the World Children's Baseball Fair and did some tryouts over there with them too. And just the culture, the people, I hit it off over there, and it was just a great experience.
I would think so. Do you speak Japanese?
Just a little bit. I used to know a lot more, but I lost a lot of it.
Wow. Yeah, not using it. It's hard to keep a language. Now, nowadays, you do something a little bit challenging too, and I wanted to mention that because, you know, you don't just sit around signing baseballs for little girls hungry to be accepted into Little League. You do some pretty hefty lifting of your own in life. Beside that, what are you doing now?
I'm a firefighter paramedic now. I'm in the city of Portland. I used to be in Phoenix for 8 years, and I've been in Portland for 2. I love my job because, you know, it's constantly different. It's so similar to baseball, where you're working independently, but you're with a team, and around a bunch of guys that I have a very similar personality with. You have to be physically strong, being able to think on your feet, and when you're done with your job for the day, you go home and you're done, and you're affecting people in a positive way. So I do like that. I am trying to get back into baseball a little bit. I've been out of the media, but I still always have had stuff going on with baseball.
I think it's important for you to stay in baseball because I think that there are an awful lot of girls growing up who'd like to play, and I think that they do need to have somebody like you who can say, hey, not only I did it, but also here's a skill, here's how you do it, because you have the skills to teach and coach.
So that's what our goal is, you know, is to get this book out there so that girls, women, you know, people out there realize that, hey, you can get a scholarship for baseball. You know, it's going to take some hard work, but you can do it. You can play professional baseball. And here are some of my experiences that I went through, good and bad, as far as the I made. And here's what you can learn from them. You know, when I was playing, I was constantly reading Jackie Robinson's book.
Right. Because
I wanted to see, you know, how he did certain things. Well, a lot of mistakes that I made, and then there's some good things that I did. And so we can get this book out there to girls who are coming on up or even playing now, to kind of inspire them to keep playing and maybe, even better, get more baseball clinics, get a league going, and get more girls in college to play ball, then fantastic.
Yep. Now, one of the things, of course, is you're riding around on these buses, from town to town to play, and especially when you get into the professional level. And you get all these guys, and one of the things that I always was fascinated about baseball was that it seemed to have so much attraction for the opposite sex. There were an awful lot of women hanging around outside the clubhouse when the players would come out. And, it always amazed me because my take on it, and of course here I live in Phoenix. We could have been on the show together instead of using Skype tonight if you'd stayed in Mesa, but you didn't. And so, but we have, of course, spring training here, and so I go and I see, and my God, they're lining up. Take me. And I wondered what it was like for you as a woman being in the middle of that really kind of anti-feminist environment.
Well, they can prepare you for a bunch of things. I knew that stuff was coming, but I had no clue to the extent how it would come. And I kind of tell about a couple of situations that happened where it was on the bus and outside the bus. But it was an eye-opening experience being that young, and then it taught me a lot about how guys think, and it was fascinating. And then just to see, how people work and how that happens and what's going on, it was a very good learning experience for me at that young of an age.
But of course, so all during this, you had to kind of hide your own sexuality because you are gay, and you were very honest about that in the book. But while you were playing, you were trying very hard to keep this secret for a few reasons. I think one being not just baseball and how the players and all would react, but also because you had to battle with it within your own faith. You were brought up believing that being gay was somehow sinful. And we've lost you. There you are again. Okay. And I was just wondering, how do you feel that you have grown in that area? How would you deal with it differently if you knew it then what you know now, or would you?
I don't. It's hard going from, when I was 5 years old, I was taught that you are gay, you are going to hell, and you're going to burn in hell, that you're a horrible person. So for all that time, all I was hearing is, oh my God, I am going to hell, I'm a horrible person, I'm going to make everybody upset with me, I'm going to lose my family, I'm going to lose my friends, and I can't play the game that I love. And it takes a long time to work through all that damage. And that's why, ultimately I got out of the game and I had to go through a process of reprogramming my mind and seeing things differently. So that's why it took about 20 years to put this together with Gene, because I was even keeping it from Gene, who knew me very well. And it just takes a long time when you have that much history with being told certain lies.
Yeah, Gene, boy. That must have been quite a discussion the two of you had that day when Ila decided to tell you about her sexuality.
Yeah, you should also know the times were changing.
Yeah.
In the 90s, the attitude was very different. And even in the 2000s, even in liberal California, in 2008, they passed the Proposition 8 against gay marriage.
Wow.
Um, I think, timing's everything. And I think when the time was right, um, the world out there was ready to hear Ila's story, and Ila was ready to tell the truth.
But how was what was your reaction when she told you this? Because you had known her all this time, and
Yeah, I figured she might be bisexual,
you know,
and she was a very private person, and I knew that.
mm-hmm,
And I was writing primarily a baseball book.
mm-hmm.
So, fine, be what you are. But when she called me, I said two things to her. She was worried that she couldn't be a role model for little girls who wanted to play baseball if she announced that she was gay. It would taint it somehow. And I said, no, I don't believe that anymore. Times have changed, and everybody has secrets, whether they're hetero or gay. And in a memoir, it's very important to tell the truth, because the road to hell is paved with memoir writers who lie. And
I agree.
we all know the cautionary stories about that. So I said, people, who care about the truth are going to go, okay, and they're going to see what it cost you.
And we have to take a quick break here, but we will be back to follow up. Go. Welcome back, folks. This is Walking on the Weene Side, and today we're talking about Making My Pitch, a woman's baseball odyssey, with the woman whose life it's the story of, Ila Borders, and the woman who helped her write the book, Jean Hastings Ardell. And Jean, you were talking about the day that Ila called you and told you that she was in fact gay. And the issue in Ila's mind was, will this disqualify me as a role model for other young girls who want to play baseball? And I want to say something here about you as a role model, Ila. As I read this book, it isn't about baseball. It's about living. It's about following your dream. It's about pursuing what you want to accomplish in life. So it's not just a role model for baseball, girls who want to play baseball. It's a role model for girls and boys too, I think, in a way, who want to accomplish, who want to push themselves to follow their dream. And I have to tell you, in my mind, you're an excellent role model.
Oh, thank you. That means a lot. Thank you. Yeah, that was the toughest thing with putting this together is usually you have one theme and then you go with that. And it was so complicated because we had the baseball, we had the family, and then I dealing with, being gay and being a role model. And that's why Jean and I collaborated and put this book together. And we wanted it for everyone. If you've been through an abusive home, if you lost a loved one, and going through that process and then coming to terms with yourself. So thank you very much for that. We're trying to get it out there to people.
Now, I was wondering, there's no other way to say it, you're a very attractive lady.
Oh.
Okay.
Hey, you went with this hat.
Okay.
I agree with you.
Okay. Now, I'm just sitting here thinking about these ball players. And you're in that bus with them. You're not showering with them. In fact, that pokes some interesting stuff in the story. I'm not going to go into it because I want you to buy the book and read all this stuff. But one of the things that struck me was you had to deal with these ball players who were used to basically having sex every which way to Sunday. Mm-hmm. How did you get them to understand that you were their teammate, but at the same time you set limits? And I just want to add a little side comment in there. I think you talk about that a lot in the book. And the reason I'm bringing it up is because I think that's something that a lot of women wrestle with every day. In their jobs, in their communities, that men seem to think that we are entitled to hit on you. So how did you deal with it?
Well, I don't know if this is right or wrong, but this is how I went about it. It wasn't just playing baseball. It was dealing with how to maneuver like a certain situation like this. So I had to worry about the guy's girlfriends or wives. I didn't want them to see me as a threat because then that can create strife. I didn't want the guys asking me out. So I didn't take a shower. I barely put on deodorant, but I wasn't putting on perfume. I would wear the most baggy, big clothes you can possibly wear. I never did my hair. I always wore a hat and never wore makeup. I would barely comb my hair. After the game, I would go home dirty. I tried to bring no attention to me whatsoever anyway. Not even mascara, lipstick, and my hair was always a mess. And if you see pictures of me when I'm playing, you'll see the same outfit every single time on the bus. Some of the guys would be like, aren't you going to wear anything else? You got to do this. And it was the same warm-up outfit that was 2 sizes too big. And you just start giving that off, and then you talk about. It's just weird. You have to change what you're talking about and turn it into a baseball discussion, or turn it into they would like to play poker or something else. So there's a lot of strategy that went in just getting on the bus.
And I thought it was all having to worry about which pitch to throw, but it's also which pitch to block. And so, you have a lot of good humor in this book.
Yay, we really tried to do that because I think humor gets you out of a lot of sticky situations. I've learned that throughout the years that sometimes tough situations, if you use humor, it gets you out of it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Jane, what did you learn about yourself as an author, professional author, co-writing this book with Ila?
That's a great question, Ken. And I'm glad I came to this story when I was a little older, and that I had already written a book. Mm-hmm. Because the first book was my baby. Like a lot of first-time authors, I put my heart and soul into it, and it meant a great deal to me to have that book published, and it had my name all over it. Sure. This book, and I'd had a nice career as a freelancer, so I'd had my name out there for plenty of years. I had a aversion to sports biographies that are co-written, where the co-writer takes over the voice of the book. Mm-hmm. And I very much wanted Ila's voice to predominate. I wanted it to be first person singular, and I wanted it to be her voice, not mine. Right. And every while, she'd send me rough drafts of her memories, emails, and then I'd shape them and, organize them. And a couple times I'd come across a word as I was editing them, and I thought, that's my language, that's not Ila's language, and I'd take it out. Mm-hmm. I felt like I was mature enough not to let my ego get in the way of her story.
Very good lesson. Any authors who are listening to the show today, that's a very who are going to help somebody else write, or even if you're creating a fictional character to write their story, remember they have a voice, and you don't want to put it into your particular style and voice and take away that uniqueness.
Exactly, and that's the beauty of first person singular. And I teach memoir, so I know anybody can sit down and write their own story, their own memoir in their own words. Mm-hmm. Not everybody feels called to do it, but you can do it. So that's where your own voice comes out. But for me, in this book, no, that was not my work. My work was an editor, an encourager,
and a developer with putting everything together.
Yeah. So, and I had a good time with it. It was a lot of fun to work with her.
I can believe that.
A lot of co-authors get in fights and they don't talk to each other again.
Yeah. You've obviously, that's not the case here. You seem to be very good friends. Now, Ila, you get this book, okay? It's been published, and the publisher sends you your first copy. And you look at this book, and you say what to yourself?
I stared at it for a while, because the person that took this picture is Annie Leibovitz, and we talked about her book, and she is just an amazing person and extremely talented. And for her to allow us to put this on the cover, and what the University of Nebraska Press did with the colors and the layout, I almost didn't want to touch it. It was so beautiful. And I still look at it, and I can't believe how well it's put together. I absolutely love it.
Okay. Well, folks, that's a thing. So maybe, folks, if you're going to buy this book, okay, because it does have this fabulous cover by Annie Leibovitz, and it is a beautifully done book. Maybe you should buy 2 copies. One to keep pristine, and the other to read.
Thank you.
But if you have a daughter or a granddaughter or somebody like that, then buy 3 copies. One to keep, one to read, and one for that child to read too, because this is a book that young girls, and I would say young boys also, should get to read. Again, folks, it's called Making My Pitch. It is a woman's baseball odyssey, and it is by Ila Jane Borders with the assistance of Jean Hastings Idell, and they have been kind enough to come walk on the Weene side today, and for that I am truly grateful.
Thank you.
Our pleasure.
Hello, everybody. This is Monica, host of It Matters Radio. You probably hear me on the music shows. I had to take this moment to let everyone know that, well, first of all, great interview, wasn't it? And that was wonderful. I think that that Ila was an inspiration to many. But if you've joined us before, we had done an interview with John Epstein of Haymarket Riot a while back, and it was excellent interview. And one of the things that John and the people with Haymarket Riot have done is set up a way to give to the homeless, and that's wonderful. Well, It Matters Radio is sorry to have heard that the drummer Phil Holder of Haymarket Riot passed away. It was very unexpected. He had a heart attack, so we thought we would dedicate his favorite song for their upcoming EP, which you can see on the screen. It's called Eyes on the Prize, and this is called Rush Hour. So I hope you enjoy it. Here you go.
From the moment that I wake up to the very last blink of my eye, feels like a rush hour. All I need is some peace of mind, and I'll be satisfied, at least for a while. I can't live with the pushing crowd. I wanna run, but I can't hide in the rush hour. All I need is to free my mind from all the warning lights in the rush hour. And I know, yes I know, in, wanna push it out, but in this world I can't breathe. In the rush hour, feels like drowning, but I can't reach your hand to pull to safety. Feels like a rush hour, and I know, yes I know, this time try to keep me blind, keep me in a cage so I can't see. It feels like a rush hour, reaching for the light, but I'm out of time and I can't breathe in the rush hour. And I know, yes I know, getting caught in the feels like a rush hour.
Yeah, there you go, Philip Holder. That's for you. Ken doesn't know that I did this, but I thought this went so well with the message that Haymarket Riot was trying to put out, so I had to share it with you today, and this is called In Concert from Kenneth Weene.